Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the champ.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Welcome, Ultimate fans, to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the 2019 USA Ultimate Pro Championships, coming to you from just outside Philadelphia. Men's Division quarterfinal here between Minneapolis Sub-Zero and Washington, D.C. Truck Stop. Getting set to start. I'm Keith Rayner, joined in the booth by Lindsay McKenna. Lindsay, these are two teams that have seen each other before and both have aspirations of moving further in this tournament. What do you expect to see in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to both coaches before this matchup and discussed their game at U.S. Open and how Truck was down, and then they brought it back in the second half. So we're looking to a nice, close game today.
Truck had some struggles yesterday, took a loss to Pony as well as Machine. They are looking to rebound a little bit after yesterday's performance, and we'll find out if they're able to put it together a little bit. There were some struggles offensively and keeping their tone in the second half. Came back in that Machine matchup, but could not complete that comeback with a victory. Sub-Zero pulling in the blacks to Truck Stop in the schoolyard whites.
We've had beautiful weather this weekend. It's been phenomenal.
I am very thankful for that.
Yeah.
Can only hope it maintains through today and briefly into tomorrow. So we are underway. First pull going up from Cody Wood. Fielded by Ted Seither. Seither missed some of yesterday's action with, I believe, a hand injury. Deep pull has Truck Stop pinned in their end zone. Handlers hoping to work it out, that dangerous position. Nate Pryor up ahead to Tyler Monroe. Seither underneath again. Truck looking comfortable, pumping some deep fakes, mostly staying with the unders in the reset space. Pryor gets up the line in a power position. Continuing to just move directly up that open side sideline. Then Rowan McDonald towards Monroe in the back of the end zone. Truck opens with a hold all up that open side. McDonald to Monroe.
And that was really nice defense from Sub-Zero. You see them forcing the disc all onto that sideline, which is a difficult offense to run, you know? Like, no one ever really wants to be stuck on that sideline, and a deep shot goes up, and of course, Rowan McDonald's going to come down with it.
Yeah, they did not seem to be too concerned with the fact that they played most of that point in about a 10-yard box, pinned to that sideline, and comfortably just advanced the disc, stayed patient. So we see McDonald, of course, the star of this team, at the point where we're really just calling him by one name, Rowan.
Yeah.
And McDonald is one of our players to watch here from Truck Stop. First team all-club selection last year, as well as the Offensive Player of the Year, and has a YouTube channel where he does a lot of ultimate instructional videos, building up the subscriber base. He's quite the promoter. But there are a few players in the game who are going to be able to teach you more. Rowan's become a really, really great thinker as well as a great athlete on the field. So we'll get a look at the Sub-Zero offense, which has been paced by Ryan Osgar this year. Pull going up from Truck. No wind this morning. Jason Sheeta. Kind of a side stack look from Sub-Zero. Sheeta takes the reset, goes up to Greg Cousins. Nick Vogt underneath and now looking cross field, being chased, but beyond the reach of its intended target, Nick Simonelli. Quick turn for sub. Simonelli, really no chance at that crossfield throw.
It's tough.
Truck stop getting their first look at a break chance. Troy Holland underneath.
Looking at a matchup defense.
Truck trying to get past that matchup by attacking the break side. Cochran comes across to Rico Johnson. Now back into the hands of Nikki Spiva. A lot of contact in the reset space between Holland and Sheeta. Cochran has it deflect, but catches it on the second effort layout score. And that's a break for the truck stop D-line to make it 2-0.
Chance Cochran this summer was competing with the U24 national men's team where they won gold. And he was just a stalwart force just to see us for truck. That was a phenomenal grab by him in the end zone.
Cochran, a real hard worker downfield, but has really developed the skills, and I believe actually matching up on that point with his old teammate from Tulane, Greg Cousins. As he catches the second effort score.
On those resets, we noticed a little bit of physicality, like you mentioned, and Daryl Stanley earlier was talking about how Sub-Zero is actually one of his favorite competitors to play against, just because they say the teams are friends and they always have a really comfortable relationship on and off the field. Like, we see people just like high-fiving over here. It's really cool to see, and it's really cool to see just equal matchups out there.
You mentioned the Under-24 World Championships, which you competed in with the U.S. national team this past year.
Yes.
I think that since that program has developed more fully, and a lot of the players in those programs, the U20 program, the U.S. started attending Under-24s, the World Games teams began being selected in a different fashion. All of those things have created stronger relationships between the elite level players. Do you feel like you have a better sense of the people you're playing against because some of them have been your teammates?
100%. And even like before this weekend, since I'm from the Philadelphia area, we were already making plans to see each other and meet up at the fields and everything. And it's just really cool to see people's strong suits used and utilized in different team settings. And that's something that you can see here with 2 on Sub-Zero and then also 4 national competitors on truck stop as well.
Cousins coming across to Sheeta. Sheeta hammers, has a target, and drops in for the goal. Sub-Zero able to respond with a hold and get on the board to make it 2-1. Sub able to move the disc downfield, again attacking the break side, this time opened by Sheeta to start. And Sheeta finishes it off with this crossfield throw. So difficult to defend that hammer. In some ways, you're kind of counting on it being a bad throw because it's more difficult, but it's really tough to close off that break side when the thrower can access it past the mark.
And when you have no wind like today, there's less of a margin of error for that throw to go up.
Subs D-line looking over their assignments. Coach Taos Boyd. And we see Truck, Joe Freund, Seither back with the line. Christian Boxley, both of those guys were
We have
competing.
three out there.
Young truck stop team. No McDonald out there for this O-line. Infrequent. As Pryor takes the centering pass, tucks it inside for Monroe. Lloyd Blake gets his first touch. Resets to Seither. Blake catches it under pressure. Gets it off the sideline back to Pryor. Stoppage in play. Pryor brings it in, checked by Tristan Vandemortel of Sub-Zero. And Schaffner takes a shot, tries to make the catch. I think we may see an uncontested foul by Cody Wood.
Let's go, Cody.
Markham Schaffner now about 15 yards outside the end zone. Resets to space for Pryor. And another stoppage. I think Pryor saying that the Mark Vandemortel may have been too far away to start stall counting, but players have come to a resolution on that. And a quick inside break. Freund back to Seither. And Seither skip passes to Schaffner, but Schaffner still outside of the end zone. And Truck blows the red zone possession. Seither just a little bit beyond the reach of Schaffner, and a nice red zone stop for Sub-Zero. Wood sends the disc ahead, and now a deep throw goes up, but the man goes down in the deep space. Charlie McCutcheon knocked down by Boxley, and
Yeah, that's a tough call. It's never one that you want to be.
yeah, it's always difficult when the disc is so far away from the players as the contact occurs. Makes it hard to project forward what would have happened had the contact not occurred, especially when it's like often legs getting tangled.
Yep.
But it does look like Boxley's going to decline to contest the foul. So it'll be McCutcheon's disc on the goal line. Sub-Zero a chance to break back. A little shimmy from Vandemortel, and then he finishes it off into the end zone for Cole Jurek. And just like that, we're back on serve. Sub breaks back to make it 2-2.
Both these teams seem to be throwing a matchup defense, and they're doing a pretty nice job. They're forcing tight throws, things that can easily be turns, but also make really nice goals in the end zone. I'm excited to see if anyone decides to throw anything else. But like we keep saying, like this lack of wind makes it really easy to just play person and force some big people to go up in the end zone and see some cool things.
When you're in a situation where there's not a lot of wind, but you want to mix up the defense, what types of strategies do you feel like can be effective?
I don't know. I think it depends on the team that you're playing. Both of these teams I know have a higher inclination to use that deep space. So you could maybe think about a poach or a little bit of a bracket defense to kind of see what you can force out of the handlers into that deep space to put up a 50-50. I don't know. Zones, sometimes you have really quality throwers on these teams as well, so people can hit those pinpoint throws and just break zones quickly. So I think it really just depends what the strong suits of each teams are, but I don't know. I'm interested to see if they decide anything, but they're keeping it close. I mean, it's a good matchup so far.
And I expect that to continue. Two very smart coaches between Taos Boyd and Daryl Stanley. So we'll see what they have in their pockets to try and mix things up for these O-lines. Each defense now has a break to their name. Spiva lets the pull drift out of bounds. Truck stop D-line out here for an O-point.
This is Nikki Spiva's year back from competing last year with Philadelphia AMP. Interested to see if some of the same mechanics of his play in mixed is applicable to men's.
Spiva's had a wealth of success. I'm sure Truck is glad to have him back in the men's division. He's going to work right now with in the handler space. Around break for Christian Johnson, one of the other new additions to this truck stop team, and then Spiva comes under and hits Cochran. But Cochran rushes the bump pass to Johnson. And the D-line can't get it done to start, but now back on defense. Vandemortel. That open side third. Up to Connor Anderson. Anderson getting in a high stall there before finding a reset. Cody Wood goes up to bring in the reset, and he's knocked down by the defender.
Truck is forcing backhand right now.
Are you surprised to see that backhand force?
I'm not. These fields look a little skinny, like, you know. So, I mean, I think that's quite a strategic move to see some possible backhands. They're usually a bigger throw, so maybe you can force some out the end zone.
Not able to force that one out of the end zone. They get to the break side and continue the forehand up that way into the end zone from Cousins for the break. So the defense is getting it going early here against the O-lines. Sub-Zero back in front now with a 3-2 lead.
I'm liking the spikes happening out here.
Yeah, I mean, I think these teams are fired up. You know, I think that there's been some talk about what this tournament means for teams, being able to compete here, not really having bids on the line or anything like that for most of the teams in competition. But they seem excited to play well. McCutcheon gets the goal for Sub-Zero. So, Lindsay, now we've seen this truck stop team give up back-to-back breaks. How do you get things back on track if you're the O-line and you're digging yourself a hole like this?
I think just falling back to the fundamentals of your system can be really effective in these, and I know that's way easier said than done. But I think just kind of remembering why you're here, remembering why you're on this field, and that just matchup that you're taking on, just focusing on that present time play and seeing what you can get out of it, taking a breather.
Pull going up. Hanging as it drops to Pryor, and he centers to Norbaum. McDonald covered by Jurek. Always important to see how teams decide to match up with Rowan. Around the horn for Truck. 5 throws, all getting them horizontal yardage. Deep throw going for McDonald. And Rowan trying to get it in before he runs out of space, and does. Schaffner slips on the huck, but doesn't matter. Slips it into the end zone for McDonald.
That was definitely a close one. Had a couple toe drags on that point.
Donald, someone you trust to make a play on the line. These star of this truck stop team, of course, making some highlight reels when he tried that little back foot toe in at the U.S. Open. He looked confident when he came down that he had gotten it in, and no question there from Jurek, so truck stop gets to walk off with the hold, get the defense back on the field. Now these truck stop jerseys, Lindsay, have been much talked about. What's your take on the truck stop whites?
Yeah, you know, I'd say I prefer their darks better, but I wonder what the story is behind them. It looks like it says kids at work. What
I heard was that they started out a little more tame, But then as they kept coming up with ideas, it just got more and more ridiculous. I believe someone pointed out that the stop sign does not have the correct number of sides.
Oh, no, it's a hexagon. That's good.
I think it's fitting of the theme. Yeah. Sub-Zero's offense trying to work their way out of the end zone. Ryan Oscar with the disc. Still seeing a healthy amount of physicality downfield and a bit of bumping. Neither team seems uncomfortable with it, though. Vote up ahead to Sheeta and a pick call. A little bunched up now, Sub-Zero in the middle of the field. Sheeta drops it off. Now the deep throw going up. Simonelli tries to get over the defender. Some contact, but don't know if he lined that one up right.
I think the players were getting a little frustrated on sub in that last point. Some miscommunications, some lack of spacing in their offense. And Truck forced a pretty untouchable throw, honestly.
Yeah, even a catch there would have been a contested one. Quick huck for Truck stop the other way. Cochran trying to fight for position, but can't get over the much taller defender.
Sub threw a last-minute switch in that stack to kind of cover Cochran on that deep cut.
So Truck stop's break chance is a brief one. Vote uncontested in the reset space. Sheeta takes the reset. And then takes the free pass to Simonelli on the open side. Truck stop's defense clamping downfield as Sub-Zero handlers are forced to work it amongst one another with small passes. Losing yardage. But Tony Paletto gets up the line there. Sheeta follows suit. Vote off the line, give and go. Sheeta floating one to the break side as a pick call happens. And again, you can see that Sub-Zero stack very condensed. I think that's going to incur a lot of picks when the cutters are so close to each other.
Looks like Jason Sheeta is the marshal of this point right now. He's literally every other throw, the disc is going back to him.
Very smooth thrower. I mean, he's not a big guy, but still has a lot of craft in getting off those around throws, has great touch, really float the disc well. He's going to be a tough matchup for Truck Stop, right now being covered by David Shields as the players finish their positioning. Sheeta checks it in, dumps it to Simonelli. Hess takes a bit at that one. And the Sub-Zero offense continues to make, I mean, they've probably completed 20 passes, gained 6 yards, till that one from Paletto gets them up the field towards the end zone. High stall. Simonelli forced to throw a floaty pass in the hopes that it works out. And it does. Paletto able to get that one to drop in, and that's got to be extremely frustrating for the Truck Stop defense.
Yeah, props to them for holding Sub in that position for so long. You can notice how teams start to get antsy when you're held in this like 5 to 10 yard span right outside the end zone, and this is why teams practice end zone reps over and over and over again to get that muscle memory and to get that mental strength in those situations to be able to not force those bad decision throws, you know, like over the stack or into those tight windows. But that's a frustrating one to lose.
I think that's one of the most frustrating things in Ultimate. One of my favorite hypotheticals is which is worse, that situation where you play great defense for 9 seconds, they throw up a jump ball and manage to score, or when you beat someone deep by like 30 yards and the handlers turn it over, and now you're 30 yards behind the person you're supposed to be guarding.
Then you're just winded.
I think those, to me, those are two of the worst things that can happen to you. I like to ask people which one they find more problematic.
Dang, beat down.
So Sub-Zero with a 4-3 lead after that stall line catch. They've scored 4 of the last 5 right now after that 3-goal run. Side stack from Truck. They flood to free up Blake. Blake resets to Pryor.
It's like Sub throwing that backhand force again.
They must like something about this, although the lefty Blake has that forehand as an option, and he throws it inside for Monroe. Scyther around to Pryor. Scyther harried by his defender, Logan Pruce.
Some really nice dump defense by Sub right now.
And you could sense that they feel that pressure they're applying. Truck trying to withstand as they go around to Pryor. Pryor, a little stutter step as he goes up the line to get it from Blake, and then lofts the backhand into the end zone for Norbaum. Ties this one back up at 4-4.
Truck made some really nice progress up the field with that. They just hit under after under after under, and then really showed some nice patience towards the end zone. A nice step-out throw.
It's an interesting mirror, really, with the previous Sub-Zero point. Both teams with patient possessions, had to throw a lot of resets, a lot of passes that gained horizontal yards without gaining vertical yards. And maybe it was a little bit different stylistically, but both teams able to get a hold out of that strategy.
I'm interested to see, earlier in the game there was a lot of resets, like around resets being thrown that were just not super contested. And it really aided the flow of offense for both teams. So I'm interested to see if coaches are making any adjustments to that.
We mentioned that backhand force that Sub-Zero's been using. I think one of the advantages, even in matchup, of going to that backhand force is that a lot of people are more comfortable throwing that around backhand than they are the around forehand. So you're forcing people to throw the tougher break throw, although you do give up that inside backhand that people are so comfortable with.
Yeah.
Neutralize the offhand backhand a little bit. It's a chess match. It's like you said, it's all about aligning with personnel and your opponent's strengths. Jason Sheeta takes the pull and starts to Josh Klein. Simonelli in the middle. Sub-Zero transitioning out of the kind of split stack into the vertical and immediately get a deep look for Cousins onto that back shoulder. Oscar delivering that to Cousins for a quick hold that gives Sub-Zero a 5-4 lead.
That's like one of the toughest throws to defend as Darico Johnson in there. It's just that angle, and you're running, and you can't really stop to pivot, to turn, to jump, to get that D. It's a smart throw, but tough to defend.
And Johnson did a great job even getting it that close. I mean, that's a break side throw. He's clearly sees that it's coming, but just so difficult to get back into position.
Yeah.
Got to get help at the point of attack on the mark. Can't give up a wide open backhand in that back cone like that. Certainly not from Oscar of all people.
Yeah.
So this one has continued to be pretty back and forth. Aside from that couple of breaks, we've just had teams very competitive. All these points have felt pretty contested. Neither defense has looked overwhelmed. Neither has either offense.
No.
These two teams in the quarterfinal round. So the winner can advance to semifinals. The men's division with a different number of teams than the mixed and women's divisions. Only 8 men's teams. So all 8 teams made it to the bracket. While in the mixed and women's divisions, they're still finishing out pool play, and 6 teams will advance into the bracket.
Do you think that was just space-wise?
I think they intended to have 10 teams, and then through some machinations, there were not enough teams to fill out, or there were not enough teams that they wanted to fill out those final 2 spaces. And so rather than extend to teams they felt like maybe of lower quality, lower competitiveness with this field, they've kept it to 8. A couple of teams are missing from this tournament, such as San Francisco Revolver and Seattle Sockeye most notably, but Condors could probably compete with this level. Those teams all competing at a unsanctioned Labor Day tournament, or excuse me, sanctioned tournament, but just a recreational tournament. Does not count for the regular season rankings. For all teams besides the teams at this tournament, the regular season has completed.
But rankings can still be altered.
Correct.
For those teams that are done competing.
And we will talk about that because
Yes.
I'm sure you have many thoughts.
Oh, yes.
Markov Schaffner air bounces a backhand up the line, and Boxley continues to Monroe with a stylish and long-range spike.
I don't really understand how that happened.
He kindly goes to retrieve it. I'm excited to get another look at that because I really don't know how he just did whatever that was. And we see this scoring pass from Boxley, just a couple of those inside backhands. And he kind of just
bounced.
snaps his wrist, and this comes hard off the ground. But we talked about how that's a risk when you're going to that backhand force, is give up that inside backhand break and truck stop attacking that lane.
It's a very small window. Has to be a perfect throw to get in there. Boxley did a nice job with that.
But you mentioned the rankings, and while in the men's division things are pretty settled as far as where bids will be landing, in the women's and mixed division a little bit more up in the air. And through yesterday's events, we've still seen some movement. Love Tractor fighting to try and get a bid for the South Central. But hot on their heels, Westchester Loco, a team that you know pretty well.
Yeah, just a little bit. We were separated by 1 point going into this weekend in the spectrum of 1,700 points. So quite close. And we are technically playing through other teams this weekend.
I believe that lead has changed to 5 points. Still a minuscule margin. That's from the projections of Cody Mills at FrisbeeRankings.com. So much to be decided in the mixed and women's divisions in particular. This game's still to be decided as the sub O-line finds space on that open sideline. Sheeta about 5 yards past midfield. Really strong with that around backhand to space. Cousins up ahead to Osgar. Osgar throws past the face guarding reset defender. And now looking for that hammer again. This time, not from Sheeta, but just as successful as it was. And another score for sub with that hammer.
Those breakside hammers, very hard to defend. Also when they're perfectly placed like that.
Yeah, not only perfectly placed, but it's
also
clear
wide
that the
open.
cutter was looking for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see off the back of the stack, little S cut towards the back cone, knows that hammer's going to go up, drops in, giving Sub-Zero that 6-5 lead. So Sub-Zero in front, trying to hold on to that narrow edge they've held for most of this game against Truck Stop. The winner of this game will face the winner of New York Pony and Pittsburgh Temper in the semifinals. Sub-Zero defense getting ready for this Truck Stop O-line. Seen a couple different pieces, particularly downfield, rotating through the Truck O-line. But at this point in the season, I imagine most of these teams have their personnel pretty much figured out. Who's going to be on offense, who's going to be on defense. As the pull goes up. Norbaum takes the centering pass. Wodach open for a short underneath.
It's a U24 matchup in downfield with Christian Boxley and Cole Jurek.
Also another U24 player. Freund resets, and now all the way on the other side of the field with Norbaum. Nearly throws it in the poach from Van de Mortel. Pryor up the line to Freund, and he uses that big body to fight off Mortel for the score. Ties it back up at 6-6.
So nice and patient point for them. Quick moving, but patient. Good decisions were made by Truck.
Moving quick, but not in a hurry. You know?
Yeah.
Not looking rushed. Freund has been a nice addition to this O-line. We mentioned Spiva coming over from the mixed division. Freund doing so as well after playing with Space Heater last year.
Him and Ted Seither both came over from space.
Landed from space.
Yeah.
From outer space. Seither still competing with Oregon in the college division. Freund wrapping up with Virginia Tech. The two will head to the sideline while the D-line comes out to deal with this Sub-Zero O-line. And we'll see if maybe they try and go to the backhand. It's a lot harder to throw that backside hammer when you're forcing towards where that hammer goes. Maybe Truck will try to neutralize the hammer by switching the mark as well. Spiva with a high pull. See if it even stays in bounds. Fails to do so, so great field position for Klein and the Sub-Zero offense.
It's practically right at midfield.
Spiva will have to try and get it back on defense. Early break throw from Klein. Oscar underneath. Andrew Roy getting his first touch for Sub-Zero's offense. Klein up the line, and the little flip for the goal. That was a quick hold for Sub-Zero. The pull not doing the DC defense any favors.
Yeah, we talked about defending that around throw, and then Sub just used, I think, 2 to 3 uplines to just score that point. So they're altering their offensive strategies to kind of combat that defense. It's nice work.
Nice job up the line from Klein, and that sets up the easy dish. Sub using both sides of the field effectively. Start off on the break side of that possession, come back to the open side. I think it's so important to make the defense defend the whole field. Being able to attack all the different parts of the field, make the defense respect you as a cutter, going in multiple different directions, as a thrower, faking in different directions. Both teams doing a nice job with that on these past couple points, and I think that's part of why we've seen a string of 8 consecutive holds with very few turns. We've had 2 turnovers in those last 8 points. So offenses have really cleaned it up since those early runs of breaks we saw.
I'd like to hear what these coaches are saying on the line to keep them motivated, to keep them going.
It's tough. You have very little time to deliver all that information,
Yeah.
so you really have to pick and choose what you're going to say. You need to give your team long enough to match up. This pull quite nice from Sub-Zero. Going to put Ted Seither and the DC offense back near their own goal line. They quickly get out of it. Now Jeff Wodach trying to tie this one up. Sub leading 7-6 as Blake resets to Seither. Handler's really doing a lot of the work right now for Truck. McDonald around for Pryor.
Some really nice defense from Sub right now.
Yeah,
Forcing tight throws again, but I mean, Truck did a nice job taking advantage of that space. Open side.
Cole Jurek really applying some pressure to Tyler Monroe as he tried to kind of isolate for a scoring throw. Did a great job defending the throw he was covering, but then a quick dish changed the angle and he was out of position. Quick continue for a Monroe goal to tie it up at 7-7. So difficult as a defender to continue to adjust as the disc moves, and there Pryor with the little flip to McDonald, and he's able to throw the throw that Pryor had originally been looking for with Monroe. And I feel like over the past few years, the concept of orbiting has really been popularized, although you may hear it under different terminology as a defender. But continuing to alter your position throughout a possession as the disc moves, as the situation changes. I feel like that's caught on a lot. And I think defenses have really evolved, even in matchup, to become a little more complicated to match up with how skilled offenses are these days.
Yes. There's some really interesting defenses being thrown now, and it's fun. It's really fun. It just like changes the pace of the game completely. You get to show off different strong suits of each team and each player.
It used to feel like you either came out and ran a matchup defense or you threw a three-person cup and everything else in between was kind of wild. But now teams experimenting with transitions, with poaches, little adjustments on the mark. DC may need an adjustment to slow down this Truck O-line as another one of those backhands from the opposite sideline quickly gets to the end zone. Simonelli hits Osgar for the goal that takes us to half. And that was quick.
That was a beautiful IO backhand into the end zone.
Very nice score for Sub-Zero to take control as we go into the halftime on another hold. The Huck makes it 8-7 Minneapolis as the teams take a break.
Every time we press the prices, we play better. Let's go take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
And we're back, folks, for the second half of this men's quarterfinal matchup from the USA Ultimate Pro Championships, just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Sub-Zero with an 8-7 lead, receiving from Truck Stop. Offenses have been on a roll. Keith Rayner joined by Lindsey McKenna. And Jason Cheetah joined in the backfield by Josh Klain. We've got a different defensive look a little bit from Truck. Some junk downfield. Trying to mix things up. Cheetah up the line.
Ooh.
Tight inside break for Osgar. Pressured by the defender. Osgar give and go and a pick downfield.
It looks like Truck's poaching in that lane to kind of force those tight throws with the handler movement.
Get a good look at a block there, but have not been able to stop Sub-Zero so far. Hess stays on his feet. Sideline reacts. Looking for that block. Truck just trying to disrupt the rhythm. Charles Weinberg takes the reset.
It's a nice switch by Truck.
Weinberg looking to reset it himself. Sheeta's just so reliable back there. And around from Sheeta. Beautiful. Over to Cousins and another stoppage. Sub-Zero, I still think, struggling a little bit with those spacing. Those pick calls are coming a little more frequent than they'd like.
That just really flows off the or throws off the flow. Ooh, another nice bid.
Miner trying his best, but not able to deny Shida. Cousins able to get that around past the mark, and 2-goal lead for Sub-Zero, their largest of the game. They're up 9-7.
In that last point, you noticed a lot of bids defensive bids occurring, and many times when you reach this higher level, it's almost like you have to make that decision in your mind, like, am I going to be able to make this play, or is it just going to be too close? Because a lot of times if you make that bid and don't get it, you don't have a mark on your thrower, you just are out of position, and sometimes teams can just really take advantage of not having a mark for a couple seconds and get those quick throws off, and it throws off the entire defensive look.
Absolutely. I think a lot of players, when they first start playing at a higher level, when they move from, a mid or novice level ultimate where bidding is so heavily encouraged, it's something people want to see. They're a little willing to take on more risk than I would like as a coach, because it's so important to defend at the point of attack to be able to get that mark on. And if you're on the ground, you can't mark.
Yes, it's that same discussion where you see a lot more dangerous plays happening in the leagues and the recreational lower level stuff. And while that may seem more exciting, it's more dangerous, especially competing under WIFDIF this past summer. The whole contact rules are completely different, and you really got to protect yourself and your teammates and the other players you're playing against.
Fortunately, we've been able to steer clear for most of this tournament, as far as I've been able to see, any super dangerous plays, even though we have some pretty dangerous players, though in a different sense. Scyther able to get up the line. McDonald button hooks under. Freund dances free for the deep throw from Rowan, and a great block. Sub-Zero able to get there.
Cole Jurek, U24 matchup again.
Jurek coming up with an emphatic block. And getting a turn, our first turn in quite some time. Quick huck from Sub-Zero, looking for Jurek. Full field. Jurek gets the bookend. Sub-Zero gets the break. They're up 10-7.
That's nice. That is just a classic bookends. It's really nice to ride that emotion once you get that incredible layout D. Your heart's pounding, you're just pumped so much, and then you just run deep, and that was a perfect throw too.
Cole Jurek, the man they call Beef. And that's grade A right there. Look at that block. Just enough to knock it away from Freund. Full commitment. That's a bid that's worth the risk.
Yes, 100%.
And Vander Mortel dials up a bomb of a backhand, and Jurek chases it down.
It's a full field huck. It's beautiful.
That pushes the lead out to 3. 10-7. Sub-Zero up, and Truck suddenly is in trouble. Got a chance to watch Truck Stop yesterday as they competed against Pony, and team that if they go on to somehow recover and win this game, they may face in the semifinals. Team that everybody's chasing. And in the second half, Truck kind of fell apart under the pressure of the Pony defense. Another second half collapse against this Sub-Zero team would be a real red flag in their title contention. Their D-line's out to try and steady things. Spiva up the line. Looking for McDonald deep. And McDonald turns on the Jets for the back shoulder fade from Spiva. And that quiets the sidelines as the D-line gets a hold for Truck to make it 10-8.
This is a similar situation that Truck and Sub were in at US Open. When Truck was down a few points, and then after halftime, they turned it up and ended up winning the game. It was a close game. I believe the score was 15-12. So we'll see if they can pull that out again. here at Pro Champs.
Both teams starting to really explore that deep space effectively. I know you're a player who really likes to put up a couple shots.
High risk, high reward is what I like to call it.
I believe the exact quote you gave me before we started the broadcast was, "I have the green light."
Yeah, you're not supposed to tell people that.
Is that a standing order when you sign up with another team under recruiter? You'd be like, "Yeah, I can only come to play if I get the green light."
Honestly, it's nice. I don't know if I'd go or I don't have it, but
it helps.
Yeah.
It helps to be good at throwing those green light throws.
yes.
You know? We've seen plenty of good throws. I think that Tristan Van der Mortel probably has the green light. If he didn't before that full field huck, Coach Taos Boyd needs to give it to him.
I'd give it to him.
Absolutely. Spiva with the pull.
Hands up and ready.
Tony Paletto kind of wiggling his fingers as he coaxed the pull towards his hands. Little lightheartedness despite the level of competition we see.
Pick call.
And Sub has been kind of utilizing this split stack where they open the fields, the middle of the field's really open. Usually have two cutters on each side, or maybe three on one side and one on the other. And then cycling into a vertical stack as the possession progresses. Players still figuring out where they should be lined up. Simonelli discussing with Johnson. Someone on the sideline says,
Yeah, so are you sending it to us? Yeah, that is a pick. It's going back.
as you hear a pick called there, someone on the sideline yells to Johnson, "Rico, we don't have time for this." They're trying to make a comeback, and the soft cap against them. Simonelli still gets the under. And a high throw intercepted. Spiva with a chance to pilot a break here. Johnson dishes and pulled out of the air. Nate Castine comes down with the goal. Truck stop breaks back within 1, 10-9.
I think you can give that point to Johnson for his really nice mark on that around. He forced a high release, bladey around throw that was put up to a 50-50, and Truck came down with it. Quick movement led to the score.
Just a bit of an air bounce on that backhand. Johnson on the mark, able to force it wide and pops into the air. And Truck scores the other way. Christian Johnson getting the assist. We see Nate Castine, a veteran presence on this Truck Stop team. He's traveled around, played with a couple different teams. I know he played with Sockeye. Has struggled to stay healthy throughout his career, but has had some real high heights. They're getting to some heights to pull in that one for the score. Spiva getting ready to pull.
Yeah, that's Oscar.
Subs offense needing to respond. Klain takes the centering pass. Good communication by the Truck Stop defense downfield. They talked their way through a couple switches. Vote underneath. Osgar on the near sideline. Being harassed by Troy Holland. Looking to continue up the sideline with the outside in throw, and Andrew Roy catches it and one. Tough window to hit. Osgar not afraid. Hits Roy for the goal.
I think the players that are watching this game right now can kind of take note of the really effective bodying strategies that we're seeing. Both teams are doing a really nice job at reading the disc and getting into position early and then holding their space. USAU allows that to kind of, once you're in a space, you're allowed to take it and work for that 50-50. He kind of fell into his player, but it was an effective strategy.
Andrew Roy able to fight off the defender to catch that Oscar pass. Oscar's been a big part of Sub-Zero's success this season. Won a college championship back with Minnesota Grey Duck, one of the feeder programs for this Sub-Zero team. He's a data scientist. He's stacking up some data. He's already got 2 assists and a goal in this one. Wouldn't be surprised to see him to continue to add to that stat sheet. I think 3 data points he could probably handle. I think that's probably within his capabilities. Sub back out on defense. Thomas Eccles with the pull. And that one's out the back of the end zone. Pryor walking it up to the brick mark.
Truck setting up a side stack.
Yeah, Minneapolis taking this time to try and figure out how they want to defend this side stack and their spacing. They have a lot of pressure on Truck, who's not really been able to attack those downfield isolations. Does seem like there's a call, though. It's uncontested by Jurek as players reposition. Wodach off the line of front. Reset. Deep stack downfield for Truck. Schaffner underneath. Schaffner around to Pryor. And again, Sub-Zero's doing a really nice job keeping Sub-Zero from being able to get to the other side of the field, not letting off those arounds, although as I say that, Scyther finds one and cracks open the defense.
See a lot of the Truck players switching from handler positions to cutting positions, and a turnover.
McDonald with a tough turnover to swallow there, trying to throw a kind of an OIO blade into that break side space and turfs it. Not the type of turnover you expect from Rowan. So Sub working on a potential break, but they'll need to go the full field to do so, and then some. Jurek holding.
Truck throwing a little bit of a junky zone look, it looks like.
Yeah, really impressive that they were able to transition to this in such a small space.
And very quickly, too.
Van Mortel eyes up a potential full field duck again and thinks wiser of it. Quickly gains about 2/3 of the field through give and goes. And Eccles has the dish. Once they were past the first layer of the defense, it was a jailbreak. Eccles up to Connor Anderson. Sub-Zero responds with a break of their own and pushes the lead back to 12-0.
Oh, we finally saw a different look for defense. And I think it worked for that first half of the field. It held the throws. It held the big throws, which they've been pretty successful with. But again, once you break through a zone, I mean, it's pretty easy sailing when you have such talent that both of these teams do.
Nice job by Sub-Zero, pushing the lead back to 3. They're up 12-9 on DC Truck Stop. Sub-Zero defense asserting themselves with a break, hoping to add another to extend that lead back out to 4. Truck Stop running out of time. So we see McDonald, Monroe, 2 of the stars of this Truck Stop team. And McDonald with both of the 2 turnovers that have led to Sub-Zero breaks in the second half. He's someone who expects a lot of himself. And, you know, we talked about high risk, high reward, Lindsay. How do you recover when you're one of your team's big throwers and if you're struggling, you have a couple of turnovers in a row?
I think it's nice to fall back on those just structural stuff. And I know that I said this as the answer earlier, but like you have a team for a reason, right? Like you have your standout players, and yes, you can make offenses and defenses surrounding them, but a lot of the times other people on the field like have strengths as well, and sometimes nice to have other people take that role up and see what they can do with it.
We'll see if McDonald allows one of his teammates to step up into a bigger role as he tries to find his rhythm. Lloyd Blake underneath. Monroe. McDonald gets a touch. And a near poach block from Vanda Mortel, but takes the risk and comes up empty-handed, and an easy score after that for Ted Seither.
That upline poach defensive look from sub in there is one of the most like dangerous things that you can see in Ultimate. A lot of times players can call that as like is that a TMF or a PMF? Like what would the dangerous call come as? I'm still like
what it should be
this.
and what it is are not always the same.
Okay.
A team misconduct foul, I believe, should be for a pattern of reckless behavior or illegal behavior by the team. A PMF would be a personal misconduct foul, which in that situation, let's say the player crashes and just runs into Monroe right there, and then you might see a PMF situation, although I don't know which one would actually be handed out. That we could go to our observers for, but you're right. I think that's a common situation, that hospital pass as you were, especially when the throws to space, where the upline cutter doesn't even see the defender, so they don't have a chance to brace themselves for impact or anything. But players are able to navigate the situation safely in this case.
Yes.
And
thankfully,
we've been able to see mostly safe play, even though these two teams are really going at it.
It's been a really nice matchup to watch.
Truck hoping to give us more time to watch that matchup. They're going to need to find an answer soon. They're running out of room. Against Sub-Zero, 12-10 lead. Aiming for a hold now. Kevin Brown, one of the new players on this Sub-Zero team. Remember from Mad Club. Simonelli to Sheeta. Sheeta's been a question from Sub-Zero that Truck Stop has not been able to answer this game. Cousins continues and dropped by the bidding Simonelli. Got both hands to it, but unable to secure the score.
Two nice IO flick breaks.
First turnover of the second half for Sub-Zero. Their first turnover since it was 4-3.
Wow.
Truck not generating a lot of opportunities, so now they'll have to take advantage of this one. Excuse me, they had one other turnover that led to a Truck break. So as Johnson catches it underneath about 18 yards outside the end zone. Truck Stop looking to continue the pattern of turning single turnovers into breaks. Johnson comes in and I think quickly calls a timeout. Wants to get organized for that break chance. It's a big one for Truck Stop.
It's a smart position on the field to call a timeout. You're on that sideline. You're right near the end zone. This is a pivotal point for them right now. They can take that lead of 3.
Yeah, I mean, giving up the score here is going to be a tough spot to be in if you're Truck Stop, so getting this break is just pivotal. So after this timeout, Truck Stop will try and get a break and bring it back within 1 against Sub-Zero. Truck Stop looking to execute out of a timeout in the hopes of getting a break and getting back into this one with Sub-Zero. They've been in chase since early, and here in chase is the defense. They don't get there. Gus Norbaum gets the break for Truck Stop. Perfectly executed out of the timeout, so I guess that proves you were right, Lindsay. I was going to say I'm not a big fan of timeouts on the sideline, put you in a tough spot, lets the defense set up, but perfectly executed by Johnson and Norbaum for the truck break.
It's a perfect throw to a perfect cut.
So back within one. DC within spinning distance. They've been trailing since the 4th point of the game where they gave up 3 straight, make it 3-2. They've been trying to catch up. So far in the second half, though, points have only come in pairs. Every team is broken after holding. That kind of rhythm is not going to favor a truck stop, though. Again, these two teams in quarterfinals looking to move on to face the winner of Pony and Temper.
Here the sidelines turning up for these last couple points of this game.
I definitely think there's a sense of urgency. Teams are sensing that near the end of this game, in this round, both teams want to be the one who gets a shot at the semifinals. Hanging pull, and Norbaum back out on defense. Played O-line pretty much the whole first half, and Coach Gerald Stanley deciding maybe the personnel adjustment was in line. Roy dives to save the reset in his own end zone. High throw, but Vogt tracks it down before a defender can get to it.
Some nice defense by Truck right now.
But this Sub-Zero O-line is not cracked under the pressure yet. Weinberg holding, looking for options, and squeezes a high release forehand to an empty space in the reset space. And now another break chance for DC. Spiva just outside the end zone. And gotten back by Jason Cheetah. A golden opportunity for truck stop. Closed off.
Both teams experiencing some short field turnovers.
Pick call stops play. Simonelli with the disc. And another timeout, this time from Sub-Zero. So both teams recognizing that they're in crunch time. And the soft cap has gone off. So we're not going to get to 15 in this one. Well, I guess it's still possible if Sub-Zero scores here, but given the pace of this game, it's so tight right now.
Sub-Zero is, I think, singing Pirates of the Caribbean.
Whatever it takes to fire them up, you know?
Yeah.
I hear some pirate calls coming from Sub-Zero. Looking to steal a win away and a spot in the semifinals from this truck stop team. And got to be frustrating for the truck defense to give it up when they had it on the goal line with a chance to tie the game, but they'll have to reset and get back into defensive mode to try and get the disc.
Looks like Truck is forcing Sub deep and putting one of their defenders downfield to kind of combat those deep looks.
Yeah, it looks like some bracketing around downfield as well, so trying to mix up the looks and find some opportunities to switch. Cheetah and Weinberg working it back and forth before they find Osgar. Osgar to Simonelli. Johnson applying some pressure on the mark and nearly able to get a turnover out of that one. Castine not able to catch up. A stoppage downfield, excuse me. Disc in the hands of Klein. Sheeta slips, but finds some room for that inside break to Osgar. And Osgar able to get around the bidding mark. A pick downfield, but don't think it'll be involved in this play. Osgar and the Sub-Zero offense holds. Although maybe not. Now there's seeing mixed signals. Nope, goal signal. Sub holds, they're up 13-11.
You can see that Sub, like, looking at that field overall, as they move closer towards that end zone, it seems that they just compress and they are making it almost more difficult for themselves to get these points in, forcing these tight up the line low throws that you could make a lot easier by spreading out your offense.
We'll see if Sub-Zero makes any adjustments to their spacing. I think it's something that we've talked about a couple different points in this game, but hasn't stopped them from getting a lead. They're up 13-11 in this game to 15 with the soft cap on. So truck stop running out of chances. Will that break chance they couldn't get come back to haunt them? O-line back out. Need of a hold.
Here we go, Zero.
As we see that O-line, Wodach, Blake, Boxley, Scyther, Pryor, Monroe, and Rowan.
Here we go, Cody.
And interesting enough, we talked a little bit about Jurek when he had the big layout block, and he's also been kind of the quarterback of the defense. I've seen him doing a lot of communicating, directing traffic, telling players where to go as this pull drifts out of bounds. Beautiful hang time, but just not exactly located exactly where you want. Difficult art.
Yeah, the sun came out, and I think the wind's picking up a little bit, and it's tough late game adjustments.
So brick mark for truck stop. Pryor checks it in. Isolation for McDonald underneath. So I'm still looking for some of those poach blocks as McDonald gives and goes with Monroe. Monroe gets the reset as there's a call downfield.
This little chippy, bladey flick.
We see McDonald turn that over, but he's not afraid to go back to it. Boxley, Georgetown alum. Over to Blake. Handlers working it back and forth. A deep set of cutters downfield for them. But Scyther and Pryor have been able to keep the disc alive as there's another pick downfield. And you can just see from the spacing how far away these cutters are from the handlers. McDonald front of stack ISO. Blake off the back. A lot of touches for Rowe in this point. He's staying very involved.
He's everywhere.
Pryor towards the end zone, outside in forehand, and gets there before the help defense does. Monroe with a fat spike. Tries to bury the disc. As DC comes back within one, it's 13-12. Monroe taking his fourth trip to the end zone this game.
I really appreciate Truck Stop's use of pump fakes. I know it's a very minor thing that I guess people that aren't used to watching Frisbee, I guess, wouldn't really recognize as such a powerful thing on the field, but that's just how you communicate with your cutters, and it really just helps create space, and without having to also talk to them, you can just do it all with the disc. I think they're doing a very nice job with clearing and making space. It's just a very good team-oriented offense.
using that non-verbal communication tactic, the hard, direct pump fake. I need you to clear out. Also effective when we've seen Sub-Zero kind of praying for some poaches, using that hard fake to maybe draw them out. But it's going to be the defense that Truck Stop needs to dial in. They want to get back in front, trailing by 1. Blading pull, backstopped by Shida. And we're seeing the Truck Stop continue to try that junk defense, kind of a wall in the middle of the field. Deep defender helping out over the top. Right now it's working as Sub-Zero's been forced into some short yardage throws. Klain finds a Simonelli unguarded in the middle. Brown.
So Truck getting a little lost with their matchups once they called to be person.
Hess looking for a block there, but Truck's been willing to give up these resets in order to help poach, and didn't stop Sub from getting off a deep throw there for Simonelli. He gets past Chris Strub. And Sub-Zero just one goal away from advancing to the Pro Championships semifinals with a 14-12 lead over Truck Stop.
Again, it's those little communication errors from Truck when you go from a zone or a junky defense look and you go to a person matchup. It's tough. You have to be on your horse. You have to be communicating with your teammates to make sure that those resets are covered and those deep cuts are covered. And I think if you're one step behind, you can, like all of these athletes are so quick and so knowledgeable of where to go, and when you give someone one step, they're gonna take it from you.
And Osgar acting as the distributor for the Sub-Zero offense. He's going to make you pay if you give him those little windows, those little mistakes. He's going to give you some margin for error. Drops in his 4th assist of the game for Sub, 3rd of the second half. Truck's back against the wall now.
Do you think we're seeing some universe lines out here right now?
Not yet. It seems like nobody's going quite for the kill on either side, knowing that there may be more game to play. But also, I think for the most part, these teams are pretty confident that the units they've been sending out are mostly the right call. Maybe a player or two we'll see crossover here and there. But we've seen this same O-line. Joe Freund has been a notable absence, though, for a few of these O points in a row. Monroe underneath. McDonald closed off downfield by Charlie McCutcheon. And then comes under, puts up a deep throw for Wodach. I don't know if that's going to stay in bounds. With Wodach's help, it does. He toes the back line for a quick Truck Stop hold. Back within 1, 14-13.
Takes some great bodily awareness to be able to make those grabs in the end of the end zone. It's hard to follow the disc coming in, put yourself in the right position, go up for it at the right time, and then also watch where your foot comes down. Might seem like a simple task, but he does a really nice job with that.
Wodach has been at it for years. A lot of information to time up there. You got to time the disc flight, where your defender is, that back line, where you are. But Wodach synthesizes it all quickly, makes a confident decision, and stuffs that toe into the grass as he brings in the Truck Stop score.
And that's a really nice throw from McDonald, too, to put it in a space where the defender cannot make a play.
Rowan picking up his 2nd assist. He's also got 2 goals. So not quite the superstar stat line, but not immediate impact either. Question is, will we see him on the field again for Truck Stop in this game? As they need to see the D-line stay out there. Game point for Sub-Zero. Simonelli under, finds Klain. Klain takes a deep throw, has a target. Weinberg ahead of his defender and hauls it in with 2 hands. Castine not able to catch up. DC not able to catch up. Sub-Zeros going to the semifinals.
That was a really nice game to watch. I think we saw some really shining moments from both teams, but I think overall Sub did a really nice job of staying patient with their decisions, working it up the field. Maybe their windows were a little small, but they really kept to it and put on a nice show.
Just can't give up the deep look there so early. Really just so early in that possession. Castine just caught unaware at the back of the stack. Nicely timed from Weinberg, and then he fights for position. Gets the goal that sends Sub-Zero to the semifinals. The final here, 15-13, Minneapolis Sub-Zero over Truck Stop here at the Pro Championships.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go, take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.